And today is the International Day of Education, a day where stakeholders seek to uphold the right to education, which has been violated in some parts of the world. According to the United Nations, about 258 million children and adolescents around the world do not have the opportunity to enter or complete school. Statistics also reveal that 617 million children and adolescents cannot read and do basic math, while less than 40% of girls in sub-Saharan Africa complete lower secondary school, and some 4 million children and youth refugees are out of school. Secretary General, United Nations, Antonio Guterres, says, quote, "The time has come to reignite our collective commitment to education," end quote. The theme for this year's International Day of Education is Changing Course, Transforming Education. CEO SabiTech Wale Ogunjobi joins me now via Zoom for more discussion on this year's International Day of Education. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with a statement coming from the United Nations Secretary General, where he says, quote, "The time has come to reignite our collective commitment to education." We've had this conversation about education in the country over and over again, even when we look at the budget. Yes, there was an increase in the budget for education in 2022 budget, but you know, education experts will still tell you that is enough. My question really is, can we have the business as usual approach to education and expect a different outcome?
Absolutely no. You know, there's a saying that if you continue to do things the same way, you can't expect a different outcome. The issue is that we need to we need to implement new strategies in education for us to get more productive results. For the team for this year, for the International Day of Education, talking about changing course and transforming education, the truth is there needs to be transformation in education, especially in our country, Nigeria. There are so many ways that we have been doing education in Nigeria that needs to be changed. So I think this day is a call for us to look at how we can do things differently to get better results in terms of education in Nigeria.
Mm. And you know, it just brings to mind the recent statement, albeit political, but it brings to mind the recent statement from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who was talking about reviewing the minimum qualification for elective offices. And, you know, that has led to a debate. And I was thinking, look, if everyone has a right to education in this country and is really educated, you know, that clause doesn't even have to be in our constitution or Electoral Amendment Act, because everyone will be educated. What sort of transformation do you think we can make in education to realize education as a fundamental right for everyone?
Well, for me, I think that there needs to be a deliberate discussion on how we can strengthen education as a public endeavor and as a common good to every citizen of this country. As a matter of fact, there needs to be a declaration call for free and a compulsory elementary education. That, at this stage that we are in this country, shouldn't be debatable. I was speaking to, you know, some of our staff at TVC. I told them that education, elementary education, should also be seen as mandatory. You know, when children are small, there are some bad things that we take that is compulsory for them, like polio and some of those stuff to prevent deformity. I think if we take elementary education compulsory, like we take polio and other vaccines for children compulsory, I think that you know, the deformity that we're experiencing in terms of politics, in terms of our nation, Nigeria, would be reduced, you know, to some, you know, minimal level. I think that we just need to take this. It shouldn't be a debate that we need to have elementary education before we can, you know, go for some offices and all of that, it should be compulsory. And I think we need to look into it because it's already a state of emergency, as a matter of fact. Because,
absolutely,
like you mentioned, we have a whole lot of out of school children in Nigeria,
and that's where you took the word out of my mouth. I mean, it's terrifying to see sometimes the number of out of school children in the country, and a lot of people have called it a ticking time bomb. But I cannot remember who I was having this conversation with last year, if it was you or someone else, and we're talking about education, and the person rightly said that we have not decided what we want to achieve with education in the country. Perhaps that's why we are where we are. And I just want to, if you agree, if we need to have that national discourse or that national dialogue as to where do we want education to be in the country, what do we want to achieve, and then tailor the curriculum to suit that as well.
Absolutely. I think that, when we see that education is the foundation of a sustainable, of an inclusive and a peaceful nation, then we will take it seriously. The truth is, the more educated a population is, the more peaceful that nation is. The more, upward thinking they are. Now, if you look at states in Nigeria that take education seriously, like Lagos State, there is some form of development there. But if you look at states that education is in jeopardy, you can see how backward, the economy and everything is. I'm telling you the fact that education is the bedrock of a sustainable, inclusive, and a peaceful nation. If Nigeria wants peace today,
absolutely, and we've seen that. We've seen that in developing nations as well, where you can tie education to the level of development in those countries. Thank you so much for talking to us as always, CEO SabiTech Wale Ogunjobi.